The gentleman from Fairfax, Mr. Surovell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
The gentleman may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, I'm like the minority leader. I'm really interested to hear all this talk about this so-called war on coal. And I love the rhetoric on the other side. I love the passion. I love that energy. But what drives me nuts is that it really ignores reality. I want you all to think for just a second about when this started. When did the decline of coal start? It started when natural gas took off. As the minority leader pointed out, that started to begin President Bush's administration. But you know what? If you look a little deeper, if you dig down, if you find out why it is that fracking that's now taking place in Southwest Virginia, fracking that's now threatening the Northern Neck, what made fracking so popular? There's a little amendment to the Safe Water Drinking Act, Section 300H D1B2. It was recommended by an energy task force. And who chaired that task force? A vice president named Dick Cheney. And Dick Cheney said, his task force said, you know what? We don't need this big government in our water. We don't need big government making sure our water's clean, our water's safe. We don't need the federal government, the big federal government in there sniffing around on our faucets. And you know what happened, folks? When we took away the federal protection of our clean water, fracking exploded. It exploded. And you know what? You know who was the biggest beneficiary of this explosion of fracking? This little company called Halliburton. And who owns stock in Halliburton? Well, Dick Cheney. Now, you want to know who started the war on coal? Take a long, good, hard look in the mirror, folks. The leaders of the Republican Party in the mid-2000s, they're the ones that started this war on coal. Now, I know y'all don't like to hear it. I know that might be uncomfortable. And I know that y'all might not like the idea that you know, the leaders of the Republican Party started the industry that is destroying a big part of this state. But that's the reality of it. And I appreciate y'all want to try and blame our president for having something to do with it, even though he was elected way after this all started. But that's just false. And it's a bunch of short-term political grandstanding to try and just get some short-term gain out of it. It ain't going to work. And Mr. Speaker, Section 111D. Let's talk about Section 111D. Section 111D, yes. It's about time somebody took some action to control carbon in this country. It's about time that we did something so that Hampton Roads doesn't end up underwater real soon. Because that's what's going to happen if we don't take action. If we don't keep sticking our heads in the sand, a good part of the state's going to be underwater. We're going to be building flood walls. We're going to be spending taxpayer dollars draining floods. What is 111D? It is an opportunity. When we spend more money on clean and renewable energies, what it does is it creates jobs. We take money from one place and we put it somewhere else. Now, why don't we seize this opportunity? You know, the idea these solar panels are going forests. You know what they do in other countries? They put them in parking lots. They actually do that at FedEx Field. A member of the Redskins caucus might have seen him there when he was at a Redskins game recently. They're out there in the parking lot. They're actually using solar panels in the parking lot to power part of FedEx Stadium. I've been to other countries. They put them up in the parking lots so you can keep your car cool. There's all kinds of space. I bet there's 200 acres of parking lots in some districts in Northern Virginia, people that have spoken on this floor today. Mr. Speaker, this is a job creator. It is a job opportunity. It is an opportunity for this state to go out and find new things for people to do. You know, my granddaddy, he was a farmer. He came from 10 generations of farmers in this state. He had an 8th grade education. And my family went through the Great Depression and damn near lost the farm. And my granddaddy, he looked long and hard about where the future lied. He understood that farming was not going to be a big industry in Franklin County the rest of his life. So he went out and he studied how to become an electrician. He got himself the new skills. He decided that it would be a good way to support his family, and he was an electrician his entire life. And what this green energy stuff is, what renewable energy is, what 111D is, Mr. Speaker, it is an opportunity for this state to remake itself in a lot of ways so we're not so dependent on federal government and federal spending. And from my point of view, from this caucus's point of view, we ought to embrace that opportunity. We ought to open our arms and say we want to be the green energy capital of the East Coast. And instead, we don't want to be standing on the schoolhouse steps, yelling at our president, blocking Medicaid, which the business community supports, blocking this carbon dioxide regulation, which the business community, if you really ask them what they want, they don't want the EPA writing the rules. They would like it to be written by the Department of Environmental Quality right here in Virginia, not EPA. Instead of standing in the schoolhouse steps blocking that, instead of attacking our lesbian, gay, bisexual friends and telling people we don't want your good employees from out of state, instead of attacking the immigrants that are working on the computers that power those data centers, instead of attacking them, folks, this is what we need to be doing. We need to make the state an open, welcoming place, quit living in the past, and start looking towards the future if we're going to have a good economy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.